people? Welcome to. Oh, let's start now. What's good, people? Welcome to the Undiluted Football Show. I'm your host, Toni Afoke. And you know what? This is a beautiful thing, man. We're going to start off. Right now, it's currently 9 o'clock. Man United are just holding on against West Ham, to be honest. But it is what it is when it comes to Man United. We'll get onto Man United much later. But guys, welcome to the show. This is where me, your host, I'm going to chop it up with a few guests in the coming weeks, or you can just hear me chat rubbish about football. A little background about me. How long have I been doing this for? I have my own platform called The Zone where I talk about football, basketball, and American football as well. But yeah, guys, this is what we're here for. We're here to talk about ball. And right now, I'm watching my team. For anyone that wants to know, and I'll get it over and done with now, I'm a Man United fan. Yes, I know I have a London accent, but my dad's from Manchester, hence why I'm a Man United fan. Anyway, that's done. Get that out of the way before anyone tries to come for me. But yeah, let's get straight onto it, man. Let's get straight onto it because at the end of the day, this is what we're here for. We're here to talk ball. And we'll talk about the biggest story that came recently over a couple of days ago was Chris Wilder being sacked. Now, everyone and their dad's uncle thinking, oh, why did they sack Chris Wilder? Well, we've got to look at it. Well, listen, let's get it straight. He wasn't sacked. It was mutual consent. However you want to take that, that's between you and your dad, innit? But mutual consent. But it's funny because I have a friend or a work colleague, who I will not name names, but is very close to Chris Wilder, right? So a couple weeks ago or a month ago, he said, like, this is just insider knowledge. I can say it now because it's happened. He said that the board and Chris Wilder are on bad terms. Like, he's looking to leave. And I was thinking, like, and this was I think this was just before Sheffield United beat my team, Man United, Old Trafford. So this is when Sheffield United were barely scoring, they've barely only won 4 games now, but this is when they've only won 1. So looking at it, I was thinking, all right, boom. Chris Wilder, Sheffield United, what's going on? Because they had an amazing season last season. They were before they finished 8th or something like that. They were getting tips for Europe. Do you know what I mean? Like they signed the Burge in January. Go into. If you had Sheffield United, because I see them do Tottenham, I see them do Liverpool, and I was thinking, right, like even we United drew against them 3-3 last season. So I was thinking, right, like Sheffield United. Listen, Chris Wilder has come from League One to the Premier League with this team. So clearly he is a good manager. But as going back to my point, the reason why he didn't get sacked or why he left on mutual consent wasn't because of the results. I know, listen, they're 14 points. They're going to get relegated at the end of the day. It's unfortunate. They're going to the Championship. But I don't think that was the reason. The reason was the transfer policy. Now, the transfer policy was really bad. If you notice Chris Wilder has made some couple decent signings. When these people like Sander Berge, like any of my football manager guys out there, if they know about Sander Berge, they know he's a baller. And you don't really associate Sheffield United signing foreign players in a sense. So you can tell like Chris Wilder has a bit about him. But that's where the board and the relationship just went sour. Like completely, it went bad. And they signed Ryan Brewster, who I still think he's failed to score for Sheffield United yet. So like you can tell some of the signings, it got sour. And unfortunately, as much as a manager can be good, and props to him for leaving, because if I'm a manager and I've built this from the ground up and then you're telling me I can't spend this money, yes, I know we're in a panoramic. Yes, I know there's COVID, but there's a way to do things. And if you're not agreeing with the board, then by all means leave. And I totally, like, it must be a shame for the Sheffield United fans. I don't know how the Sheffield United fans feel about it, but it must be a shame because at the end of the day, I see football as this. Let's call it a pyramid. There's your board, there's your manager, then there's your players, right? There's obviously just other aspects into it, but keep it simple, board, manager, players. If the top's not with it, and if everything's not with it, especially the top. So if the top's not with it, the manager can't be with it and the players won't be with it. And that's how you practically see what's been going on. Because the fact that this team that was tipped for Europe or was literally about to break into Europe is now what they've conceded. They're minus 34 goal difference, 14 points, bottom of the league. They've only won 4 games this season. Like, if someone told me that was going to happen to Sheffield United this season, I'll be thinking, wow, what are you smoking? Who's your plug? But now look at this. Like, you can tell the transfer policy, it's gone sour at the club. Listen, they're going down. we've got to look at Chris Wilder at this. What is next for Sheffield United? They've made these signings because Ryan Brewster, he weren't cheap, you know. He wasn't cheap. Like, that was not a cheap signing, and he's failed to deliver. Dare I say it? Not even dare I say it. Full stop, he's failed to deliver. So what can you do at the end of the day? Whoever they get in, Sheffield United need to, because they have a decent team. I feel like they really have a decent team, but they need to sort out. They need to sort out the top. They need to sort out the bottom. They need to get a manager in. They need to get someone like Chris Wilder in. And because the thing is, Chris Wilder's going to go on and get another job. Everyone knows what he's capable of. But everyone's going to give him his credentials from going from League One to the Championship, to League One to the Premier League, and then it ended up sixth. Like that's some football manager stuff right there. Do you know what I mean? That don't really happen too tough. So everyone's going to focus on Chris Wilder, and we know that he's going to get a good job. But what's next for Sheffield United? Because they're going to the Championship, and you know the Championship is not easy, bro. Playing on a Tuesday and a Saturday constantly, week in, week out, like, you've got to have a squad, and it's a hard league. Championship, anyone can beat anyone. I've seen like Barnsley when they were 20-something to beat Brentford last season in a must-win game for Brentford to get promoted. Do you know what I mean? Like, the Championship is not an easy league. So who knows about the Blades and Sheffield United? Obviously, they lost Dean Henderson. They replaced him with Aaron Ramsdale, who I did not rate. I've never rated Aaron Ramsdale. I remember when we played Bournemouth United last season and we slapped them 5-2. And I was thinking, nah, this keeper ain't it. Like, as much as Greenwood scored some bangers and against Bournemouth, I was thinking, nah, this keeper isn't it. And the fact that you go from Dean Henderson, who's a typically good keeper who's just kept another clean sheet for United now, who's a pretty good, and in my opinion, England number one. I know it's a bit biased, but I don't rate Nick Pope and I don't rate Jordan Pickford, but another conversation for another day. They replaced Aaron Ramsdale. Like, all of the signings they made this season haven't had the impact of the ones that I had last season. And you had the whole Lundstrom contract thing going on, like his head was in the right place. And they reap the rewards because, well, they haven't reaped the rewards because there's no rewards. They suck now. Do you know what I mean? So there's not much they can do in that situation. But with Sheffield United, we move, man. That's how you got to see it. We move at the end of the day. They're going to be in the Championship. They just need to find a way to get back up because, as you see with many teams, not many teams know how to get back up. That's the thing with the Championship. It's a hard division. But we'll see with Sheffield United. Looking back on Saturday, we saw Leeds versus Chelsea. Now, I know I'm not the biggest fan of Thomas Tuchel because only because, like, if you're a PSG manager, winning League A means nothing. I can win League A. Like, it's not hard to win League A as a PSG manager, even though Pochettino's finding it mad hard right now. But just saying, I digress. Let's look at Chelsea. They've now kept, 10 clean sheets in 12, which is great. If any club around that caliber, or any club in general, is keeping 10 clean sheets in 12, that's great. But I'm still not convinced. I know, obviously, it's different from Lamps, and I know they didn't want to see Lamps go. It was like shooting Bambi and all that. But I'm still not convinced with Chelsea. And the reason is because they can't score goals, bro. Like, as much as you want to be a top 4 team, to be in a top 4, you need to have an array of goals or someone that's hitting. Like, right now, they're in top 4, even though West Ham still have a game in hand. But I don't see a 20-goal striker in that Chelsea team at all. Tammy Abraham, I don't see him hitting 20 all comps. Giroud, I don't see him hitting 20 all comps. Like, I know Giroud can come on clutch, like, as we saw with Atletico Madrid, or he can come in clutch in the competitions, but he's not going to play week in, week out, bro. Listen, like, as Giroud, as good as, I don't even want to rate Giroud because personally I don't rate him that much. I feel like he's a good striker in sets, but he's not your week in, week out guy. We all know what's been going on with Timo Werner. They've now started to implement Kai Havertz in that false 9 role, which I'm still not convinced about. I feel like they haven't found the role for Havertz. I thought that Werner should have played yesterday, especially the way how Leeds play where it's open. You want someone with that type of pace, like we saw the way United played against Leeds, and even Dan James got a goal. Do you know what I mean? So someone with that type of pace would have loved that game. But that's just me. I'm not sure. There's a reason I'm not Chelsea's manager. But as I said, going back to Chelsea, there's no real strikers out there that I think can score 20 goals a season. And as much as, like, I know 20 goals a season doesn't sound that much, or even all comps, it's not easy, man. It's not easy. 20 goals a season is not easy. There's not anyone right now who scored 20 Premier League goals yet, and some people are on match week 30. So we've got to see it like that. Like, scoring 20 goals a season is not hard. Right now, Mo Salah's the top goal scorer in the Premier League, and he's got 17. And then you've got, I think, Bruno Fernandes has got 16, and that's half of their penalties. Do you see any of them Chelsea? Like, Chelsea top goal scorer in the league right now is Tammy. It's Tammy Abraham with 6 goals. That says it all. The fact that Tammy Abraham is not their number one starter, and he's got the most Premier League goals, and he's only got 6 this season, that's poor. And until Tuchel finds a way to, I don't know, to get someone firing or finds a way to get someone scoring, because Chelsea have a lot of possession. They had 62% possession last thing, but listen, possession means nothing if you don't do anything with it. I've seen United have bare possession with Van Gaal. We've done nothing with it. I've seen us have 70% possession, do nothing with it. City against us the other day had bare possession. We beat them 2-0. Do you know what I mean? So there's no, possession's all good. Possession without intent is good. And that is all I see with Chelsea at the moment. I don't, listen, as they've sorted out their defence, which is good, which was obviously a liability under Frank, and Edouard Mendy's doing well, and they sorted out stuff. So props to them. Congratulations, kudos. But you don't win games by keeping clean sheets. If you get the clean sheet, keeping clean sheets helps because you don't lose, but you don't win. If all you do is keep a clean sheet, it's 0-0. Do you know what I mean? That's it. You need to score. The primary objective of football is to score. And if none of your players can do that, it's a bit of a sticky one with Chelsea. I don't know what they're going to do, but that's between Tuchel and Chelsea. Whether we'll see, because they've got their second leg against Atletico this week, which Atletico didn't look that good the other day. They dropped points again to, I think, Getafe. So who knows with Chelsea? As much as like Thomas Tuchel's going to get tested in the Premier League because it's the best league in the world. Well, the most entertaining league in the world. Put it that way. But I just don't know with Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea. Honestly, I don't see it. Where can Chelsea go from here? Will they finish in the top 4? I've always said, like, in the top 4, you need a really good, like, you need someone scoring goals for you. Do you know what I mean? The fact that your top goal scorer has 6 Premier League goals, that's a bit mad. But it just shows how crazy the season is, the fact that Man United is still second. But speaking of the Premier League, it's done, right? City have won it. Congratulations. Give Pep his medal. Like, as a United fan, I was happy to see us beat City last season. Well, we did. We beat them 3 times last season, but I digress. I'm saying last week. Now, I was happy, yeah, we won the derby, but I literally said on my podcast, City are going to win their next couple games. They beat Southampton 5-2, and then they beat Fulham 3-0 yesterday. Aguero's back scoring. That was his first goal in like 400 days or something like that. Like, City in the Premier League is done. And the reason the Premier League is done this season is because, listen, we've been living in unprecedented times. I don't know how many times you've heard the word unprecedented, but listen, we're in a panoramic. We're living in these times, right? And one thing we've all seen this season is that the people at the top, bar West Ham, are the people with the best squads. Chelsea have a really good squad when you look at it, because I remember when we played Chelsea the other day, they were bringing off like Kai Havertz. Like, as much as Kai Havertz isn't slapping, that's still someone nice to bring off the bench, even though he's not going to be a bench player forever. But it's to have that talent on the bench. You know what I mean? Not many Premier League teams have that type of talent on the bench. City, Bernardo Silva would walk into majority of Premier League teams on the bench. Yesterday, they made 7 changes and still won comfortably an away game. Like, ask yourself right now, if you're watching, can your team make 7 changes and go to an away game? Fair enough, it's Fulham, but Fulham have been playing well. I like Naramali FC. But can your team go to an away game in the Premier League with 7 changes and win comfortably 3-0? Not many teams can do that. There's only, let's say, I don't even think United could do that if they made 7 changes. I'm not saying we have a bad squad, because at the end of the day, we're still second. And that's my point. The people with the best squads are at the top because the amount of rotation, the games. Look, think how much football you've watched constantly. Like, I know every single game is on TV and we're not used to that, and I'm happy, but there's been so much football recently that the fixture congestion, we had Klopp crying about the fixture congestion of early kickoffs and stuff like that. So we know how crazy this season has been, and there's no surprise that City are top and have ran away with it because they have the best squad. They spend all this money on fullbacks, they spend all this money, and at the end of the day, the best squad wins this COVID season. So kudos to City. Whether they do the quadruple, Pep kind of ruled it out, but you're not going to say we're going for the quadruple because you don't want to sound like an idiot when you don't do it. We've just got to see what they do in the Champions League. We'll see with the quarterfinal draw after, because they're practically through already. We'll see in the quarterfinals who they get. But until then, who knows? The North London derby. First things first, yeah. What a goal by Eric Lamela. I'm not sure if you have seen it, but if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's probably on your TL somewhere. That was a bad boy goal. I can't even lie. Like I wasn't even watching it live because I don't really care about Arsenal and their man too much. But I had it on in the background. And next, I just see my man do a Rabona with his weak foot. I'm thinking, raw, like the thing is, it's not a surprise. I remember Lamela has scored a Rabona before in the Europa League years ago. I remember, but I think that one was kind of better because it was outside the box. But this one, it just nutmeg Thomas went in. But kudos to Arsenal. I felt like Arsenal were the better team throughout the game. I felt like Arsenal showed more intent than Tottenham. And it's a weird one with Tottenham because they were starting to get back into form. I heard people screaming Bale's back. He scored a couple Premier League goals. Dele Alli trying to get back into the side now. And listen, Spurs are in a cup final against City very soon. I know it's in April. But what's next for Harry Kane? Because we've got to look at it. Harry Kane is 28. 28? He's 28. And we've got to see it like this. Harry Kane is 28. You need to win. Everyone that plays anything, any game you play, whether it's football, basketball, NFL, COB, things, anything, right? You got to see it like this. The fact that Harry Kane has not won anything is poor. I don't care what anyone says. I know golden boots and individual accolades are cool, but you play football to win. You play any competitive sport to win. And for you to not have anything to show for it, it's not good enough, man. Now, it's a matter of where does he go? Because if Daniel Levy does sell Harry Kane, and Harry Kane says he wants to leave, Daniel Levy's going to sell him for 100 mil plus your dad. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a crazy amount that Harry Kane will go for. But I feel like personally he needs to leave because even if, let's say, they beat City and they win the Carabao Cup, right? So that's a Carabao Cup. Like, as much as that's a major trophy, that's one. You don't think Harry Kane is going to lift the Premier League? Because let's say he stays at Tottenham and he gets the golden boot. Because Shearer's got 260 Premier League goals. Harry Kane's on like 160, 150, near enough that right now. So in the next 5 seasons, he has to score like at least 20, 25 plus to even reach Shearer, which next 5 seasons from 28 to 32 in this Premier League climate is... It's quite hard to score Premier League. It's quite hard to score 20 Premier League goals when you realise it. The Golden Boot last season was won by 22 goals. So the fact that people are not scoring 25, 30s, 31s that they used to, don't know why, but that's just the way football's crumbling. So it is a matter of what is next for Harry Kane and Tottenham. Because I'm just looking at this comment here by Abbas Yunus. He said, Arsenal winning the derby is the same as United winning City. It's a good win, but in the bigger context, your neighbour. And as I said, that's exactly what I said when we beat City. As a United fan, I was like, okay, cool, winning the derby is nice, but City going to win the league. If someone told me I have to lose a Manchester derby and then the next thing I'm going to win the league, then that's 30. And right now, Arsenal fans, like, as much as you won the derby today and you're happy, you've still got to look at the table. Do you know what I mean? You've still got to realise where you guys are at because it's Europa League or bust for Arsenal. If Arsenal do not win the Europa League, this has been one of the, if not the worst season I've ever seen with Arsenal. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. It's been the worst because Arsenal was still 10th right now, right? They're still 10th. Arsenal Football Club, I don't care wherever they should be, they should not be 10th. They've only won more games than they've lost. So let's put that, for people that watch basketball or NFL, they're literally now just above 500. So they're the Charlotte Hornets. If anyone gets that reference, then you'll understand. But that is poor for Arsenal. I don't care that Arteta's going through this rebuild. You are Arsenal Football Club. You have the players to do that. The fact that Arsenal Football Club have lost more than 10 games this season is atrocious. You have an 8+ goal difference. It's atrocious. So winning the derby is all good and all. Celebrate your win. But like, as an Arsenal fan, I would want Arteta out because he's been here for over 18 months. Yes, you won an FA Cup. Yes, you won a Community Shield. But I don't think any other manager has like the way you guys were, like I know, yes, we were talking about Arsenal winning relegation, and it was banter, but the fact that that was nearly a possibility scared me to think, Arsenal shouldn't be here right now. Like I've had as a United fan, I've had some bad seasons. I've seen us be seventh, right? Seventh was the worst I've seen, and we pulled the plug on Moyes straight away. We pulled the plug. Now I know Arsenal want to go through a rebuild. They don't want to go keep chopping and changing managers, and they really trust Arteta, which cool, fair enough, because I'm all for a rebuild, because United are going through it right now. I'm all for a rebuild. But this has been poor. It's literally, if Arsenal don't, put it this way, if Arsenal don't win the Europa League, because this is already a bad season, if Arsenal don't win the Europa League, this has been Arsenal's worst season in the past God knows how many years, which is poor, because I don't think, as good as Arsenal are, or these, let's not say good, as decent as Arsenal are, I still don't see them winning the Europa League. Arsenal, the last European trophy they won was the Cup Winners' Cup. Yes, they got to a Europa League final. Different players, different story. They still bottled it then, because Chelsea didn't even have to win. Arsenal had to win that Europa League final to play into Champions League next season. Chelsea were already in Europe, and they still beat them comfortably 4-1 in the end. So Arsenal have to do something they've never done before just to save their season, with a manager who, okay, cool, you've won an FA Cup because you won a semi-final and a final, and you won a Community Shield and penalties. That's still not enough for me. Like, I've not seen a lot from Arteta, and I don't watch that much Arsenal, but speaking to Arsenal fans, having Arsenal people on my pod, I do kind of understand. I don't see that. I don't see it yet. Fair enough. You got to trust your manager. You got to go through the process. But hasn't the process been that bad? Arsenal Football Club should not be anywhere near 10th. The teams above Arsenal right now: Liverpool, Villa, Tottenham, Everton, West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester, City, United. They're only, 4 points away from Crystal Palace, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, as good as Arsenal are, Arsenal should be nowhere near that. But as that comment from Abbas said, at the end of the day, Tottenham are still having a better season, because one, they're in the cup finals. Two, they're still in the Europa League. There's still some pretty decent teams in the Europa League that Arsenal have to go against. Whether they can beat, let's say, if they get Tottenham, whether they can beat them over a two-leg, whether they get United over a two-leg, the AC Milans, I don't know who else is in the Europa League, to be fair. But you catch my drift. Europa League is not that. It's not an easy competition to win. United have only won it once, and I've seen us get knocked out of the Europa League a couple of times. It's not an easy competition to win. But we shall see with Arsenal. They've got a couple games coming up. Whether they still, because they're not in the FA Cup anymore, so they can't win that trophy. The Europa League is literally this. Is Europa League or bust? Because if they don't win the Europa League, do you sack Arteta? In my opinion, yes, you have to, because this will be. It's been 18 months now that he's been in the job, and this is not good enough. Whether you trust the rebuild or not, it's still not good enough, because I don't think any other managers would have been this bad. I'm not saying any other managers would have done particularly better, but I've seen some poor Arsenal results this season. I've seen, like, as much as this North London derby is nice, I've seen some poor Arsenal results this season. So whether Arsenal fans, whether you're Arteta in or Arteta out, comment below, let me know. I don't mind. That's between you. But let's go on to my team, Man United. Where do I start with, man? Let me take a deep breath. I might even get a drink for this. Where do I start with Man United? Well, cool. We're still in second. We won 1-0 today. Boring game once again. But I'm not surprised it's a boring game once again. I know there's reports that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to sign a new contract, because next month he goes into the last year of his contract. Let's clarify this. Do I want Ole in? Yes. I'm an Ole in guy. And the reason I'm an Ole in guy is because I'm realistic. I don't see any other manager now that's going to completely transform Man United unless your name's Pep Guardiola. And even still, we don't have the budget that City have to, like, we have the budget. We don't have the freedom of budget to, because Guardiola signed a lot of players to get where he's at. I'm not saying he's not a good manager, but he signed a lot to get where he's at. So the fact that he has to, like, no one can do that with Man United, because if we sign another guy, I've been seeing Allegri or Ten Hag or Nagelsmann or any of them, man. If we go through that, we have to go through this rebuild system all over again. Now, for football fans, because the thing is, it's funny, in football, we've only been using this term rebuild recently. For those that watch American sports, everyone goes through a rebuild, because that's just how drafts and just how the system works. Rebuilds don't take 1 year. Yeah. Now, I know sometimes you got to pull the plug on rebuilds because it's that bad, but rebuilds don't take years. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan. Trust me when I tell you we've gone through a rebuild. Go Google the Billy King trade and go and Google where we are now. That is how you rebuild. It took me years. I've seen my team be the worst team in the NBA to now practically the best team in the NBA. You've got to go through it. You've got to ride. You've got to have a philosophy. You've got to stick to it, and you've got to ride out. Now, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, what kind of football do we play? It's a big question, because this season we were top. We went into Liverpool away 3 points ahead to make it 6, but it was only, but we drew that game, and then it slipped away from Sheffield United, and City just went on a rampant run, and that's all she wrote. Now, the Pogba injury was massive for us, because the system we play a 4-2-3-1. Even though I feel like that tactic's outdated, we still play it. Bruno plays the 10, and then we play without, it was Pogba. It was either Pogba McTominay or Pogba Fred or Pogba Matic, right? Well, the only creative person in that double pivot is Pogba. The only one that wants to get on the ball in that double pivot is Pogba. I have been screaming for a defensive midfielder for a very long time, because we need someone, because we're not allowed to play at the back. Fred and McTominay are not comfortable on the ball constantly to keep on wanting the ball and break the lines. That's what we need, because you don't want, what you get is that when we play at the back, you get Bruno dropping deep, you get Pogba dropping deep, because they're not getting the ball up the field where they should be. You don't want Bruno Fernandes in your own penalty box. You want him in the opposition's penalty box. But then to get the ball, when we're dilly-dallying around the back, he needs to come back into the penalty box. That's why we need a number 6, or even someone to play next to Pogba, just to break the lines and bring ball from the fence, string the defense to the midfield, and then the midfield to the attack can do itself. I feel like that's a key. That's one of the key. Like, I know United need a centre back, United need a striker, United need a right winger. We need a lot of positions. But what we need to realize is that midfield is key, because we've seen with Pogba, we've seen how boring Man United are and have been this season without Paul Pogba. You can see the difference. Like, I know there's a difference with Bruno Fernandes when Bruno Fernandes is gone, but there's a massive, any United fans can vouch for this, there's a massive difference when Paul Pogba's not in. We don't control games as much. We need to go down a goal. We need to go down a goal just to kick ourselves up. Like, today we were boring once again, but that's because we had that Fred and McTominay pivot. That Fred and McTominay pivot, that's Ollie's go-to. One, that's his go-to now because everyone's injured at the moment and we can't play anyone else in that pivot, hence why we barely made any subs. I don't even think we made a sub today. But the reason he goes to that Fred McTominay pivot in big games, which I don't mind in a sense, so your City's away, we've done it again at PSG away this season as well, because Fred McTominay, when they don't have to dwell on the ball and think and actually try to like break opposition down, they're not that bad, because they can do the quick passing, they can run around it, and they can protect that back four, and that's what they're good for. But the fact that right now we have a couple injuries, and that's the only midfield we can practically play, and then the only other person we can put on is Matic, that is a massive concern for me, and that is the reason why we're second, in my opinion. Obviously, yes, City are a better team than us, but we don't dominate games. We can't control games. Like, it is poor from us, and until we sort out that midfield, it's going to be the same story. Because even if Pogba leaves next season, that's 2 midfielders we've got to replace. You can't replace Paul Pogba. There's no one in this world with the skill set of Paul Pogba in that position, in my opinion. And the fact that we got to do that now as a number, and then do that with a number 6 as well, it's atrocious. Well, listen, we've seen over the news this season, United have appointed a technical director and a football director, Darren Fletcher. It's not a director of football, because Man United have an agenda against using that term, because that's what you fans are screaming, like, oh, we need a director of football for transfers, match judges, blah, 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 blah. But to put it in this way, and what I've spoken to some people around the club and whatever, and what's going on. So Darren Fletcher is basically going to be the football director, and he's going to basically be the technical director. He's going to basically be the bridge from the academy to the first team. Kind of what Nicky Butt was doing before, if you guys remember what Nicky Butt was doing and what he said he was going to do. So that's fine with Darren Fletcher. And then the technical director it's practically a director of football role, even though Ollie will have the final say on the transfers, which is fine. I want Ollie to have the final say on the transfers, because I've listened, the manager picks the team. Do you know what I mean? And as much as the director of football is good and they can identify the right players, they need to work together. So I'm kind of glad we have that structure now because it shows intent. Whether what we do with it and who we sign is another story. But the fact that it's done now, it kind of shows intent that none of these other managers did it. Whether they asked for it or not, I don't know. But what I've seen under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and why I still wanting him is because I've seen progress. Now I know we haven't won a trophy yet, and it is concerning. I feel like yes, we do need to win a trophy this season, and we're still in contention for FA Cup and Europa League. So we're still in contention for 2 trophies. So, but one thing I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in is because we've seen progress. One thing we couldn't do with the other managers is beat the big teams, which we've started to do that now. Fair enough, we haven't beat the big team this season, but last season we had one of the best, if not the best, top 6 record. But listen, where do we finish? We finished 3rd. It's not all about the top 6. Man United's problem now is just breaking down teams, and I feel like with better players, and because when United have to counter-attack, we can beat anyone. But Man United only has to counter-attack when we play good teams, or teams better than us, and teams that are going to hold the ball more than us. And that's less often than not because we are better than we're second at the moment. Majority of the games, unless we're away to any of the big 6 or playing against the big 6, that's where it's going to be better for us because we have less of the ball. And when Man United have less of the ball, oh gosh, we can beat anyone. You've seen it time and time again the way Ollie pulls out these results out of the bag because all we have to do is counter-attack. And one thing United can do and have always been good at is counter-attacking. So long story short, going into this half of the season, I think Pogba might be back for the Milan game. There are talks saying that he might be back. I need him back desperately because United's midfield is boring. Bruno Fernandes is Bruno Fernandes. Whether you like him or not, that's another story for another day. But we just need to figure that one out. We need to sort out that midfield, and then we can start looking at a right winger, a striker, a centre back, and stuff like that. And I know any of those signings I'll be happy with, but I feel like that's a massive key difference because the midfield is one of the most important, if not the most important. That's where the magic is. That's where most of the game is being played. And the fact that Freddie McTominay is our go-to midfield, that's not it. That's not Man United level, in my opinion. Both of them are not Man United level. Listen, they can do a job in a squad. They can do a role. But for me, that's not levels. But what's next for Man U? They've got Milan. They've got an FA Cup quarterfinal. Yeah, 6 round is quarterfinal. They've got an FA Cup quarterfinal. They're gonna, if they beat Milan, they go into the quarterfinals of Europa League. There's still some. We're not on a bad track. It's not as bad as people seem. And we're still second in the league. Whether we like it or not, people like to say, oh, it's a false image, blah, 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 blah. Whether you like it or not, we are second in the league. Yeah? Whether you like it or not. If you read the league table right now, we are second. We have done something to put ourselves second. We've only lost 4 games this season. We've drawn 9, which is atrocious in my opinion, and we've won 16, right? So it is not the end of the world. I know it's a false image or people like to say that, but we are second at the end of the day, and that's how we got to see it. But we'll see with United. I feel like for progress, we need to finish second, finish high, finish with a trophy. Everyone will be fine, and then we go for it next season. That's all I can say in my opinion. And I feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I've seen a lot of progress under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that I have in a long time. He finished 3rd in his first full season. Now he's going to finish 2nd. If he doesn't do anything next season, then we can start questioning him. But until then, because listen, if someone told me Man United finished 2nd this season, no Man United fan would be like, oh, that's not bad. Because no one expected Liverpool to have the season they had. And obviously Liverpool and City were always title favourites. The fact that United have been in a small title race is not bad. Listen, we are Man United and that's where we should be. But we haven't been like that in the past 7-8 years. So the fact that we're getting closer to it shows progress. Let the rebuild go. And as much as it's annoying and I find Man United annoying to watch, we've got to trust the process. Word to Joel Embiid. Anyway, Zaha not taking a knee. Yes, I feel like we should definitely talk about this. And we even done this today on in Talk Sport on the weekend in the paper review. So I made sure we done that because it is something we need to talk about. Because for people that don't know how the knee started was Colin Kaepernick in America, right? And Colin Kaepernick asked a US Navy, whether it was Navy or Army person, to say, what do I do to get people's attention? And basically, we started off in the Premier League. You had the whole Millwall fan booing. You had the whole fiasco. And I kind of feel like, and I kind of agree with Zaha that what he said is that the knee has lost its meaning. Now people are just kneeling because it's a formality that we have to do to make the Premier League seem, oh, cool, we're not racist. That's not what it's about. It was to stand against racism. Kneeling down for 2 seconds in a football match, one, doesn't kill anyone. Two, if all we're doing is just kneeling and then that's it, that's not enough in my opinion. So that's why I feel like people, and whether we see more people stop kneeling or not, that's their decision. Like, don't get it the wrong way. And I've seen some people do this on Twitter as well. Some idiots do this on Twitter in a sense that, oh yeah, good on him, he's leaning against Black Lives Matter. No, it's not against Black Lives Matter. It's not. It's the fact that we have lost the meaning of the knee and why we were kneeling in the first place, because now it's just a formality that we do because, yeah, we just got to kneel because the referee blows his whistle. The fact that people see that it's lost its meaning, that's poor. That's poor from us as society. We need to do more. Whether Kick It Out is in there or Black Lives Matter or whoever, what we need to do, because this is what it is. We need to eradicate racism in our game, in our sport. There's no place for racism anywhere, and especially in our sport. And if kneeling isn't enough, because listen, players are still getting racially abused on social media every bloody day. Do you know what I mean? And we were kneeling all that time, so clearly something's not right. So that's my stand on it. If players want to not take the knee, for the right reasons, then by all means, I agree for it. So in Zaha's perspective, I agree, because we're losing the meaning of the knee. People are just kneeling now and thinking, okay, cool, that's my part done. It's not enough to eradicate something like racism. Kneeling 2 seconds before a Premier League game and not doing anything, and then that's it, is not enough in my opinion. But anyway, let's go on to the Messi, because listen, we still got Champions League football, and for the first time since the 04-05 season, there is no Messi or Ronaldo in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Guys, is this the end of an era? I don't know. I personally say no. Juventus's president came out to say that Ronaldo's still part of our future, even though future's like 30, he's 36, so I don't really know how that's worked. But I feel like they're still great players. Messi has still got, put it this way, Messi still has the same amount of like goals or even more goals and assists than Bruno Fernandes. And if people are singing Bruno Fernandes' praises, and this is Messi's one of his worst seasons, or Messi's finish or whatever, and the fact that he's still got some numbers like Bruno Fernandes, he's fine. The reason why I might say they're finished and why I think Messi should leave personally is because I feel like Barcelona are finished. I don't think Ronald Koeman's a good manager. I feel like this is the most mediocre Barcelona team in a very long time. I can tell why Messi wanted to leave, because you look at that Barcelona team and you're looking at people like Pedri and Serginho Dest, and I'm not saying these are bad players, but the caliber of players that we've seen at Barcelona, bro, Barcelona had MSN, Xavi, Busquets, Iniesta, Dani Alves, Jordi Alba. That's the team. Now it's like Ousmane Dembele, who's wishy-washy, Griezmann, who's not the same, Messi, Trincao, Pedro. They're bringing on all these like 16-year-olds who they're not bad. They're not, and listen, they will go on to be good footballers. But you can look at the difference in the people I named back then and the people I named now. PK's on his last legs. Like, it's unfortunate that we're seeing the decline of Barcelona. We're seeing it in La Liga, because normally they used to run away with La Liga. We're seeing it now that Atletico Madrid are the top. And the fact that Diego Simeone in his bummy 4-4-2 is top of La Liga says it all, really. But let's put the Mbappe Haaland debate. I don't think it's a debate just yet, because I still feel like Mbappe is the better player. I feel like Haaland is a better goal scorer. And I feel like Haaland is the goal scorer out of them too, because he's obviously beating the Champions League record now. And I feel like with these two, if there's someone that's going to replicate Messi and Ronaldo, these two are kind of being projected. The way they're scoring goals and scoring goals for fun in the teams that they're at, they're being projected to be like the new Messi and Ronaldo. Whether they do it or whether they even get to half of what Messi and Ronaldo do, because I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that again. Whether we see it with Mbappe and Haaland, great. I'm here for it. But in regards to Messi and Ronaldo, I don't think they're done. If one of them's done, it might be more Ronaldo, because I still don't rate that Juventus team as well. I feel like Arthur's a bit meaty now. He's not the same that he was at Barcelona. I feel like Real Madrid, like a declining Ronaldo, like he is declining, and declining doesn't mean he's getting well. Declining means he's getting worse, but because his peak was so bad, he's still like a very good player. Are they done? I don't think Ronaldo's done just yet, but we shall see. We shall see with Cristiano Ronaldo whether he leaves, whether God forbid Messi leaves. I want him to leave, but I don't want him to go to City because I would hate it. As a United fan, I would hate to see Messi at City. That would I would rather. Nah, that's just I don't even want to think about that. But let's go on to Merseyside. I don't know why I did in that accent, but we move. Let's go on to Everton. You know what's mad about Everton? A couple of weeks ago on the kickoff show, we decided to look at Everton because we had the I think we had one of the people on TalkSport, right? And he was like, "Yeah, we like the process we're going through." Carlo Ancelotti. Everton have spent peas. I think we done the transfers since their new guy came in, and they spent over like 300, 400 million, and they have nothing to show for that. Because remember, at the start of the season, everyone was like, "Oh, Everton, 4 games and 4 wins and 4. Oh, this is it, Carlo Ancelotti. Like, we're gonna have to start thinking about Everton." These man suck at home. If you think United suck at home, go look at Everton. They suck at home, and they've spent a lot of money. And I know Carlo Ancelotti is a great manager. I'm not gonna disregard him. And I felt like we all thought Everton, because they make these signings constantly every year. And we're thinking, yeah, the core, like they missed the core definitely in that midfield. We thought the core, James, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison. Like Richarlison was 50 mil, blood. You've got another person, Sigurdsson, 50 mil. Like if you look at Everton, they have spent money. And if they don't make any European competition this season, this is a poor season from Everton, in my opinion, because they spent all that money with that manager to get nothing at the end of the day. And especially if there's one season you want to capitalize on getting money and getting into Europe, it's this season. Because the fact that West Ham are still somewhere 4th, 5th, and their man had they started the season with 16 players and 2 of them were goalkeepers. That says it all. That says how messed up this season has been. So if there's any season you want to capitalize it, beating Burnley at home is a must for a team like Everton. It's a must for most teams in the Premier League, in my opinion. So the fact that, but props to Burnley have them shock results that they do sometimes when they just decide to beat a team and decide to play football. Big up Dwight free Dwight McNeil. Would I have him at United as a squad player? Maybe. But free Dwight McNeil, because I feel like he's too techie for Burnley, in my opinion. I've always said, bro, I've watched this guy and I said, he's got a bit of a left foot about him. And because the way Burnley playing that Brexit type of football, Dwight McNeil don't fit that. But we saw yesterday what he's capable of. So I hope we free Dwight McNeil. Liverpool, let's go on to what is there not to talk about Liverpool? Fair enough, they're through in the Champions League, but they're kind of done out. Liverpool kind of done out in the Premier League because at the end of the day, what do they do? What do they do? What does Liverpool do now? Because do you go for the Champions League or do you try and make the Europa League? Because Salah's leaving. Maybe you heard it here first. I feel like Salah's leaving. I feel like it's got that bad. There's a bit of bad blood. You even saw Salah's, I think, when they played, who did they play the other day? I think it was Chelsea where he got something to do. Chelsea, you see Salah's agent tweet ... trying to, you see Raiola. That's a Raiola type of mood. And fans hate that. Fans hate playing agents, as you see with how many fans hate Paul Pogba because of Mino Raiola. And you've seen it. Like, fans don't like agents, and everyone has their own opinion on players, and people think like Salah's head somewhere else. Whether he goes, that's another story. Whether there's beef between Mane and Salah, because listen, as much as Liverpool have sucked this season, and we've seen I think like everyone's starting to kind of clock the way Liverpool play, and Liverpool sucked this season. And listen, they've had injuries, they've had bare injuries, they've had like 20 different centre back partnerships, which come on, like happens to the best of us. But Liverpool's like attacking has not, like none of the men have been injured like that. Mane, Salah, Firmino, who were the best front three in the world for a couple of years, or arguably, they've all been fit. And in my opinion, you added Thiago, you added Jota, you lot strengthened. Obviously, Klopp's a waste man for not having good centre backs, and fair enough, three of your top centre backs go, and then you got to start playing Fabinho and Henderson. Like I get that, I get it, but with Liverpool, it's a weird one because I feel like for Liverpool, you just got to go for the Champions League now. Champions League is an open game, which if they get some players fit back forward, they can do, because they looked comfortable against Leipzig. Listen, Leipzig are a weird team. I've seen United spin Leipzig 5-0 and then we got spun 3-2. So beating Leipzig isn't hard. It's just the fact that at the end of the day with Liverpool, what do they do now? Do they put all their chips in the Champions League basket and say, cool, this is our route to Europe? Because Liverpool, I'll tell you for free, Liverpool do not want to play in the Europa League next season. I will tell you this from a person that's watching his team in the Europa League and has watched his team in the Europa League for a couple of seasons. Europa League is not fun. If Klopp is going to cry about fetching congestion now, imagine him playing the Europa League, because once you play in the Europa League is so long. It's such a long competition. There's like Champions League Group H. Group H is the last group, right? With Europa League, there's like Group T and like Group P, and you're playing in some next ends, and it's just unnecessary because you play on Thursdays and then your games get rescheduled on Sunday. And then because English teams are near enough the better type of teams in the Europa League, right? So they tend to get deep into the competition. But once you get deep into the competition, you're like, you need to see where you're at in the table, because this happened the season in 2017 when Man United won it. It wasn't until Celta Vigo, where we had Celta Vigo in the semi-final, where we decided, oh crap, we might as well go for this competition, because Mourinho was still wondering, do I go for the Premier League? Do I try to get top 4 in the Premier League, or do I just go in the Europa League and get Champions League that way? And it wasn't until the semi-final, because we got through in the quarters against Anderlecht in extra time, and we were still playing rotated squads, and I think we drew at home to someone in the Premier League the next day, and then we said, okay, cool, you know what, Premier League's done. We don't care about where we land in the Premier League. Let's just win. Let's just go to Europe and win the Europa League via that, and we're good to go. So trust me, as Liverpool, you don't want to be in the Europa League, especially a team like that. Liverpool can play their second team and still get pretty far. They'll get to the knockout stages in the Europa League, and then once you get there, you're thinking wherever they are at the table next season, they're like, do I go for the Europa League, or do I just focus on the league? And that's such a mad thing to do. Like, at the end of the day, it's hard because you've got to prioritize one. Even Man United right now still haven't prioritized one, because I know, listen, we're still second in the league, but once you get to the quarterfinals and that, like Arsenal and maybe Tottenham can prioritize, or Arsenal, for instance, have prioritized in the Europa League, because that's their season. It's Europa League or bust for them. United still don't know yet. Tottenham are still, do we prioritize? Maybe after this loss, they might start prioritizing Europa League now to find their way into the top 4. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, whether we see Liverpool in the Europa League next season or not. We shall see. But guys, I'm going to wrap up there. I've been chatting for like 48 minutes, but that's just over a weekend of football, and to see how mad football can be. But thank you for watching the first ever episode of the Undiluted Football Show. I've been your host, Toni Afoke. We're going to be doing this every Sunday. We'll be getting some guests on. We'll be getting some more banter and stuff like that. Feel free to pop comments, and I will try to respond to them as many as I can. You can follow me on Twitter at Toni Afoke in the bubble over there. And guys, you've been watching Undiluted. Oh, wow, English. You have been watching the Undiluted Football Show. Until next time, guys, take care. That's me done. Peace.